on Twitch and YouTube right now, which the plugin is being real difficult for us. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to give y'all the best content that
All
we
right, we should be
have
good
today
now.
on topics today. We got my man been trying to get to this Brandon Shoresby situation for a minute. I've kind of semi like dismissed it for whatever because once you get caught gambling, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? And then we got we got another video that I thought was very poignant from Zach Galifianakis. Haven't seen my guy in a minute. Whenever you see him, he's very poignant, very resourceful with the information that he's giving out. And so he had a conversation in a round table, and he has some things to say about AI and those who um, control it. And so I thought that was an awesome thing that we can kind of talk about. So,
Yeah, for
what I
sure.
am going to let me go ahead and see if we are live on YouTube. If we are live
We
on
are.
YouTube, I will. Are we live on YouTube,
Check it.
baby? We live on YouTube and
I
Twitch.
see
Let's
my face. I see your
go.
face, but like, I want to see it
Okay.
on your end. Can you see it?
All right. Yeah, I can. What that boy Drake say? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, one thing I don't see on my side is the chat. So, guys, I'm using an OBS plugin. If everybody knows how to see the chat for YouTube, I don't see it. If you guys hear me, I'm not seeing the chat. I wish I could have it, but I do see the Twitch stream chat, so I can keep track of that. If maybe you can see it on that end, and you keep tabs on that. But
I'll keep tabs on the YouTube chat just in case
okay,
somebody mess with you. You know what I'm saying?
most def. Yeah. So let's get started. Our first video, as Chris mentioned, Brandon Sorsby. He is a college football quarterback for Texas Tech. He is the top three prospect going into the college football season this year. Apparently, he got caught with some gambling scandal, and that's a no-no in college football. That's a no-no in sports period once you're playing for a team and gambling at the same time. So I wanted to dive into this video where it kind of explains the situation to us, and we can give our takes on that.
Okay.
Here's the crazy part about it. He wasn't doing this on just one app. He was doing it on multiple gambling apps and in multiple different states. I don't want this to come off bad, but I am really intrigued by this, and I think it's going to be really fascinating to see how it plays out because I've never seen anything like this happen before in my lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope I'll be having a great Monday. Hope I'll be having a great start to your week. If not, I hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, we got a new and improved, well, not so much improved update for Texas Tech, but you get what I'm saying. We have a new and improved update on the Texas Tech. That was a voice. We're not just talking about some Randeezy quarterback and some Randeezy college football team. We're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the portal and one of the best teams in the nation. They made the playoff last year. And some may argue and say if Texas Tech had a somewhat decent quarterback, they could have made a legit playoff run. As we know, if you were watching them, especially in that playoff game against Oregon, good gosh almighty, the only thing that was holding that team back was quarterback play. They had a quarterback. Who knows what could have happened? We're not going to play the if, and, but game. Point is, they didn't have a quarterback. So heading into this offseason, they said, you know what? We got the most doubloons when it comes to the NIL department. I don't care how much it costs us. We got to get a quarterback. And that's what they did. Like we just said, they got one of the top quarterback recruits in the portal, and that is no other than Mr. Brennan Sorsby, quarterback out of Cincinnati. He said, you know what? Cincinnati's pretty cool, but I'll take me some of that oil money.
All right. So before we continue, I just want to say, so Brandon Sorsby has not played a game for Texas Tech. He's not played a game. Obviously, Texas Tech needed a quarterback, as he's mentioning, but for Cincinnati, he was one of the best prospects throughout the entire last year of college football. So, given that now he's transferred to Texas Tech and now essentially going through his gambling situation, that puts them in a compromising position. You know, do they all they need is a quarterback to really compete? Now, with this gambling situation, they're asked out. I'm gonna play more, but you have anything to say, Chris?
No, go ahead and get to what makes this guy so interesting that he can override
You want to
this.
know how
I
much
try.
they
Let me see
gave
what
him?
they
When I say
got.
they, I'm referring to Tech. 5 million. Let me say that again. 5 million doubloons. How about that? That's a lot of cheddar. They coughed it up. They said, here you go, buddy. Don't make us regret it and take us to the promised land. He said, all right, will do. Well, I hate to rain on the Red Raiders fans' parade, and I hate to sound like a negative Nancy, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. This guy goofed it up before the season even got here, and it's not even like, oh, he made it close to the deadline. We still got 4 months of the offseason to remind people of this. I'm not telling you he did these things. I'm not telling you he's guilty. Sorsby himself is telling you, you know what? I got a problem and I did these things. I'm guilty. He's telling you that. I can't harp on this enough. This isn't a situation where we think, oh, we caught him and there's some receipts getting leaked out. No, 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 no. He's coming out and saying, hey, I got a problem. That's why I'm leaving the team. The big no-no in all this is he was placing bets on Indiana football games when he was at Indiana as a player. You don't need me to sit up here and tell you that's a big no-no. Now, outside of that, he's been caught gambling on Cincinnati Reds games on balls and strikes. We talked all about that last week. And all we knew last week was there was thousands of bets placed. But they weren't big bets. It was just $1 and $2 here per pitch. Well, here we are. Fast forward time into May 4th. That's when I'm making this video. You'll see it later on May 4th, or maybe you'll watch in the morning on May 5th. We have some new information. There's a lot we got to go over, and I'm going to be jumping from point to point because this isn't just a bizarre situation for Brendan Sorsby. It's a bizarre situation for Texas Tech. I'm going to read this off first. So for those of you who don't know, Texas Tech, their other quarterback on the roster, he's dealing with an injury. And from some of the reports I've seen, he may not even come back till week 3 or week 4. So that now puts Tech in a tough position because they actually cannot go get a quarterback out of the transfer portal. And when I say go get one in the transfer portal, I'm talking about one that just randomly jumps in it or there'll be a penalty. Let me read this off word for word. It's from our buddy Pete Nakos. Shout out to Nakos. Texas Tech is in a tough position with no spring portal and new ghost transfer portal rules is what you need to pay attention to. If the Red Raiders added a transfer quarterback now that was not in the portal, they'd face a suspension of the head coach for 50% of the season and a fine equivalent to 20% of the program's annual budget. Woo! How about that? That can be confusing, so let me give you an example. And this is something you've seen people mention on the timeline. Because immediately, like clockwork.
Yeah.
So what makes this story so interesting?
What makes the story so interesting is that typically, well, first of all, just Texas, they're fucked up. But typically, there is no supplemental draft for the NFL. The draft has already happened now, you know? So him going to rehab for a gambling addiction can lose him his eligibility for the college football season. Right? So he won't be playing for Texas Tech. On one hand, Texas Tech is screwed because their quarterback they had last year is injured. Now, he was supposed to be this starter, and he was supposed to be a top first round pick next year or second round pick, people would say at the worst, you know, given the draft class. So depending on how he did in Texas Tech. But people are saying he's super talented. Super talented. Now that he could be losing that eligibility, he probably has to declare and go to the NFL now. Since it's after the draft, there's a thing called a supplemental draft where players who you can essentially use a pick for next year's draft to get Brandon Sorsby if you are a team in need of a quarterback. So my question is, should teams like the Jets, Steelers, Cardinals sacrifice a pick for this guy who a lot of people would say if he came out in this year's draft, he would be picked after Mendoza because he's talented, you know? So that's the question here.
No. That's a simple, flat out no. Talent does not overrule stupidity, my guy.
Okay.
Like, you want to talk about the Shield, who talks like, first and foremost, again, gambling, no. Nobody overlooks gambling. Nobody overlooks gambling. That's first and foremost. I don't give a fuck how talented this guy is. We belabor ad nauseum about the Jets and what you believe they should do. If they do that, that's stupid. That would be stupid. As a Jets fan, that would be stupid. because I've said, hey, use one of those next year picks for Joe Burrow. You're like, I don't want Joe. I don't want Joe Burrow. He's injury prone. This
all this for? I didn't do all
motherfucker.
that shit. Get the fuck out of here with this.
I don't want Joe Burrow.
Listen, I said I'm not using 3 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. I'm not using 3 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. But what I'm saying is, with Brandon Sorsby, I agree with you. I don't think it's a good idea for the Jets to get him either. But it's intriguing for teams. But he's going to be taken at some point because of his talent and because of the chance to develop him into a starting quarterback. He's going to get taken at some point. If he makes it past eligibility and somehow plays, he plays. Boom, this story is null and void. He plays for Texas Tech. I don't think that's going to happen because this is a very serious allegation. So he's going to end up in the NFL on some team. It might be a backup.
No, he will end up having a regular fucking job. Nobody will ever hear this guy. That's the reason why I'm like really
you're wrong, Chris. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Okay, where's Trey Lance at with all his talent? Well, all this talent that he has, and he's a can't miss prospect. Where's Trey Lance?
Trey Lance.
Where's Carson? Where's Carson Wentz? I'm talking about like quarterback arm talent. We talking about can't miss niggas that already got fucking paid and shit like that. Nigga, like these niggas, if you can't make it, you can't make it.
I think you're dismissing Brandon Sorsby because you never watched him play.
No, I'm dismissing him because I thought Antonio Brown not get another chance. The best wide receiver that we've ever seen in fucking
Antonio
2010.
Brown got plenty of chances. Get the fuck out of here, bro. They had got plenty of chances. And
when he took his jersey off in the Meadowland, you telling me nobody else can pick him up?
He left the league. He didn't want to come back. He said he used the league. He didn't want to play. Go watch his interviews on I Am Athlete. All these things. He didn't want to play anymore.
Hold on. The nigga's gambling on the team he was on. That's Pete Rose don't get in the Hall of Fame ever to be mentioned to fucking play the game again. Who the fuck is this kid?
Okay.
We talk about Pete fucking Rose, the hit king, the greatest fucking hitter of a modern generation. He gets fucking dismissed because you can't gamble on the fucking sport that you play for.
I'm telling you that he's gonna get picked up because that's the general consensus is that he's that talented, and people are saying that, hey, this could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I know gambling is bad in college, and that's why he's being punished and being kicked off the team and losing his.
It's not even gambling in college, bro. Gambling is bad in the NBA where you got Terry Rozier.
No, you're right, but he's not in the NBA right now. He's not in the NFL right now. They're not going to hold him accountable. That's my point. I think you're right.
Who's not going to hold him accountable?
The NFL is not going to hold him accountable. It's going to be the college sport team that was letting him lose his eligibility.
Okay, so you're telling me the NFL is going to be the girl that says, "Oh, he's not going to cheat on me"? The fuck are you talking about?
He's going to rehab. He's going to rehab. Okay. He willingly on his own. I'm not saying that this is. I'm not saying that. I'm not even trying to argue. Like, I'm agreeing with you. I think this is crazy. I do think it was a story.
No, but you're telling me that you're guaranteeing me that he's going to get picked up. And so, like, it's going to happen like that. I am arguing that. I know you might not be arguing. I'm definitely for sure
arguing with yourself because it's gonna happen, man.
You say he went to rehab, so did Lamar Odom. Okay, Lamar Odom went to rehab. He died. Guess what he did when he got back alive? Okay, so a nigga can go to rehab all he want. When the NFL is sponsored by gambling apps, and we're not talking about college football who doesn't have we talking about that's what I'm trying to say. College football does not have the legitimate collective bargaining against gambling. Like, we talking about professionals who do. Like, this is within your contract. And we're going to accept that this, like, we talk, let's be real, drug addicts, sex addicts, gambling addicts, like, you don't get over it the first time you go to rehab. And he's about to be a kid that's about to enter the supplemental draft and get NFL money so he can, you just said he got $5.5 mil in college. If he's just great quarterback and fuck around and get a second contract and get 100 M's, what you talking about? You about to ruin nigga? Go get a job. Go work at the bank. Go be a car salesman. Do that. Like don't like what I'm trying to say is that realistically, this particular issue should not even be it. Like this shit, like GMs and owners and football operations, like us talking about it is scuttlebutt. Like we should be able to but we talk about niggas that get paid a salary to do this, having legitimate conversation about some kid from Cincinnati. Again, he's not even bro. Who's the competition? What he play? What he do?
Yeah,
nigga, this ain't Kellen Moore. This ain't Ty Detmer. My nigga, he ain't setting the fucking world on. Don't tell me. Yes, you're right. I haven't heard of the motherfucker because he ain't fucking good enough, nigga. The fuck you talking about? Nigga, you talking about a fucking high school quarterback that got some fucking talent that gambles, telling me he can make it in the NFL? The fuck out of here.
Reliable source Adam Schefter tweeted out, Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, who is under NCAA investigation for making bets via a gambling app, has retained the noted lawyer Jeffrey Kessler to try to regain his college eligibility, sources tell me and Pete Thamel. If Sorsby and Kessler are unsuccessful in finding a path to eligibility, declaring for the NFL supplemental draft then will become an option. Sorsby would have until June 30th to declare for the supplemental draft.
So there you have it, man. So by June 30th, we'll know what happens. But I thought this was something that's interesting because there has been interest apparently from a lot of, I'll say this, news outlets talking about this, that who suspect that he will not get the eligibility to his lawyer, and he will be in the supplemental draft. And I think you're right. I think it would be stupid for a team to give up a second round pick next year for this quarterback, but there's going to be a bid for him, and I'm curious to see how it lands. We'll keep y'all posted. We'll continue to keep an eye on the situation. But
this nigga about to be worth a second round pick in a gambling situation, but Shedeur
that's
Sanders
a gamble in his own self.
Oh, yeah. but Shedeur gets smut on his name, bro, and dropped all the way down. Put this bitch ass nigga in the fucking draft bin and pick his fucking ass as Mr. Irrelevant and see if he becomes Brock Purdy. That's what the fuck you do. It's not worth the fucking 7th round pick. A second round.
Do you think that if he doesn't get picked in the supplemental draft, then maybe he'll get picked next year? And we just have to wait this whole season out.
He gonna have to do it like niggas used to do it back in the day. You fucking missed a year, or you in basketball, you don't play, and you just do fucking private workouts all year, and then you keep yourself in shape. See if you can stay out of fucking. Let's do this. No football, no gambling. Work on yourself. Prove it to a GM. Prove it to a football operations guy so when we come and sit down with the interview, you don't have football to distract you, because clearly football wasn't a good enough distraction previously because you was gambling when you was on a fucking team. So how about you don't have no football distractions? You have nothing to prevent you from this rehabilitation that you so-called put yourself through, and let's see if you really have rehab when we see you next fucking May. Or in April, whenever.
You're right, and it's really fucking crazy, the situation, because like again with Stephon Diggs, I'm like, I wish I had this talent, because I'm not. I think that these kids are just making terrible decisions with the opportunity they have. But hey, who am I to speak? Who knows if I would have made the same mistakes when I was there? I don't think I would have. But hey, it's easy to say that.
I think realistically, like I do would like to say that I don't want to speak from that type of ground. Like I do believe I will make some mistakes. And I do believe that there will be no fucking pity on my black ass for making them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like I don't.
I'm not bringing this story up to bring pity. I just was.
No. I mean, no, not
because I hear you though. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to pity him in the slightest. He made his bed, but the fact that he can do this, gamble, lose a year, and get picked in the draft this year after the draft is I never heard of that before. I never heard that even a supplemental draft even happening. It happened like once every 3 or 4 years, depending on the circumstances of college athletes and when their eligibility is up. So I know that during COVID, I think there was a supplemental draft, and certain people could bid on players depending on certain situations. But yeah, man, I thought it was interesting. I wanted to run it by you. I know that even Jets fans are like, "Oh, we should pick up Brandon Sorsby." I'm like, please, God, do not let the Jets make this move and screw it up. I know we picked up Cade Klubnik, right? And I don't think he's gonna be a great quarterback or anything, but like I'm gonna let that kid be in a backup because right now with the Jets, there's a sentiment that we need a backup quarterback behind Geno Smith, right? And I know Russell Wilson came in for a visit. I don't really care about him. If he doesn't come, he doesn't come. I don't care. But I'm cool with Kate Klubnik being the backup. But a lot of people aren't uncomfortable with that, with this young kid being a backup in case Gino goes down. This young kid steps in. So people are wondering, hey, maybe we have a competition between him and Brandon Sorsby, and maybe Brandon Sorsby is the backup because they have more trust in his arm. I don't like that idea at all.
How was Brandon Sorsby not as young as Clay Klubnik?
I know. I think that they want a veteran, and some people it's two different type of people I'm talking about. There's some people want a veteran, and there's some people that want Brendan Sorsby because they think he's better than Kate Klubnik as a talent, and they think he could be. People think dead ass. People think that he could be a starting quarterback. And I felt like dead ass. People are really behind this kid. I don't know. We'll see how things pan out, and we'll keep in touch because by June 30th we'll know and we'll come on here to record it. But I thought that I would like to hear where you came from with it, and also just give my takes on if there's
You know,
somebody
if this
no, on the off chance he is really really talented, is it worth taking that risk right now? And I think, and I'm with you. Even if he's really talented, I'm not worth taking that risk because the dude had a gambling addiction. I don't want somebody who's super talented on my team with a character issue like that. So that's just all
it,
it
it,
is.
it's
Yeah.
it's too bro. You what we talking about? Like you talking about a nigga can give up game plans. You talking about a nigga can motherfucking he can impact a play every time because he touches the ball at quarterback, fumbling the snaps, throwing interceptions, throwing reads, overthrows, underthrow. Like he has too much power to impact the game for him to have that in his backdrop, bro. For you to have any type of real deal, give a fuck how. Okay, let's do this since we're here in the scuttlebutt. LeBron James, 43 years, 41 years old, 23 seasons. Do you think he took PEDs?
I think LeBron took PEDs. I think I don't think he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, like for an injury.
Okay, so Marvin Carter, his one of his inner circle best friends, whatever, is Marvin Carter, Rich Paul, Randy, all them guys. Marvin Carter got caught holding PEDs. Scandal. That happened. Nobody it goes. Nobody like you said. No, nobody. No, that's man's best friend,
Yeah.
right? This dog. Damon Jones just got hit with the Damon Jones just got hit with the gambling scandal. He was the one who got wrapped up with the Gilbert Arenas and everything like that.
Oh,
It was two different things, but in that ring and two different things. The reason why he got jammed up, he was giving medical information about LeBron James and Anthony Davis playing. Hey, they not playing today. Hey, knee sore or whatever. Hey, they playing today, whatever. Okay, impacting gambling lines or whatever the case may be. That inside information. That's the so. But what the thing is, Le, Maverick Carter, what the fuck you holding PEDs for?
I know.
You
For
ain't
who?
no, you ain't no, you ain't no motherfucking. Oh, you know what I mean? You just wasn't recovering well. You needed something for that little or that arthritis. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for him to be that
Uh,
great at that age, I think that you look for any advantage. Sometimes I would think that he would
but
do the
so my
research and he keep it
but
on the
to my point
wraps.
is, if it's the gambling stuff never really stuck to Mike, but it always kind of put a little on Mike. You know what I'm saying? LeBron having a PED never even sniffing the light of day. While this is something that is actually factually proven, and then also Damon Jones, who is giving out information about LeBron, like he has too many, which is one is a coincidence, two is a pattern, right?
Hmm.
Of close proximity of things that you just are oblivious to, or you're like,
Yeah.
what's the plausible deniability? Like
Yeah. That
I
is just
hadn't, you know
suspicious.
what I mean? So what I'm saying is that as great as a talent as LeBron James is, as great as he is to the league, as great as if something like that gets attached to him, that's going to tarnish and
Artist
stick in.
legacy for
So what I'm saying is, to as great as a talent that this guy might be, he ain't ever he hasn't done nothing to bring that
I think
tarnish to the NFL. Like he's coming
I
in
hear
with
you,
a
but
bag.
I do think there's a difference between PEDs and have the stigma behind that and being an athlete and betting. I do think they're both bad, but
Oh no.
I do think
I think
PEDs
gambling is bad. I think gambling is way worse than PEDs.
really,
Oh
wow.
yeah, bro. Bro, you are impacting that referee, Tom Donahue. You are impacting the game. We got Terry Rozier. It's a clip. I don't even know if you have even seen it, bro. It's legitimate like a game he's playing. And niggas made a joke on Twitter. Like it happened like 2 years ago. Niggas made a joke, was like, is this nigga throwing the game? Like he's playing bad. Like it was, and that was used as evidence in court, nigga. The montage tweet of somebody tweeting
So
it
it
was
was so
used in
obvious.
court. It was so obvious, bro.
Oh my
It was so
God, bro.
obvious. So niggas would rather you take the 25 game suspension like Paul George. Paul George just got hit with, bro. Paul George just got suspended in the middle of the season.
For gambling?
In the middle of the season for
For
PEDs.
PEDs, okay. Oh, so
Nigga
it's
came back
normal.
for the playoff. It's a slap on the wrist for
Oh,
PEDs, nigga. You gamble, you out of here. You out of here. Even in baseball, you get your 50 games, you get your 75 games. You know what I'm saying? Like if you do it multiple times, but nigga, gambling, nigga, nigga, nah, I can't even put the. I can't.
okay.
It's singers and it's sangers, and gambling the sanger.
Nah, I thought it was interesting. And we want we everything. We talk sports here too as well. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention because that's what it came from my feed once, twice, three times. By the fifth time, I'm like, all right, let me look into this. Let me see what this is about. It seems like there's some legs that he might be in the NFL this year. We'll see. I'll and we'll stay tuned to that. But um, I thought it was crazy too, bro. And my initial thing was like, no, he shouldn't be in the NFL. Like, this is a dumb thing. But all these platforms are like, yeah, it can be real. You can find your franchise quarterback and Brendan Sorsby. I'm like, really?
Bro, over 10,000 wages, bro, at this young age. Like all you know is gambling, cause
That's
like,
sad, bro. And this is a go
bro,
and this is a larger conversation that gambling is pushed a lot to these young kids, man. It's pushed a lot, and I
gambling,
think
not
that
young kids. Gambling is pushed on, nigga.
no, it's pushed on kids too, bro. Like, but like
n-
I get this
No,
push
I'm
period.
saying this. I'm saying this. that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
catch Ivana blowing 100 at the goddamn gas station. I'm like, bro, that $100 we need groceries. And she like, yeah, but if I win a scratch out, we get $2,500 for life. Then I'm like, oh my god.
oh my god, shout out to Ivy, man. Moving on,
it's
man.
the
What you got for us, brother?
it's the epidemic.
It's an epidemic. Even guys with the scratches. I saw. I'm not even actually. No, I'm not gonna get to the scratch off conversation, but yeah,
The scratch off, the scratch off, that gambling, scratch off and penny slots, bro. I don't think that's ever good. That's in prostitution. Those three things that's always gonna make some money,
my dad
nigga.
loved sat scratch offs, bro. He was OD on it. Every now and then I'll pick one up in spirit of my father who passed. Rest in peace. But yeah, man, scratches, man, they go hard, man. They go hard. People love them joints.
Bro, I was seeing nigga. I remember young, bro. I seen a nigga hit. He got a $20 scratch off. He won like $100, and then cashed in. He was like, "Let me get three more $20 tickets." I'm like, "Nigga, you just broke even. What we doing?" I was like,
That's
it's like,
crazy.
yeah. And then Ivana, she like, yeah, you gotta buy him in threes because on TikTok they said the strip is the win. I'm like, oh my god, China, where are you?
Yo, my
Take it
dad,
away.
you know what my
Take
dad would do?
TikTok away.
My dad was, I'm not sure how much he was spending on scratches. You spend a lot of money. It's definitely like $100 at a time, or maybe 200. And then he'll give it to me, my little sister, and my little brother, and he was like, "Go scratch these." So there was all quarters, and we'll scratch, and we just had so much fun scratching these tickets. And he would give us money if we had a winning ticket. So if my sister won $25 from a $5 ticket, she gets $5, and I'm like, "Damn, you gave me the bad tickets, and I get nothing. I get nothing."
But he just played your sister, cuz this nigga was like, I just won $20.
Exactly. But that's what he would do, and but I mean, that was how he, my dad was, he was a doctor, so he traveled a lot. So when he came back with the scratches, we just want to spend time with the guy, and we would scratch it, and that's how we have fun. Like, so yeah, that brings me back. But yeah, people love them joints.
Yeah, man. Shout out to gambling. It
Shout
brings
out to
families
gambling.
together.
Oh
Bro,
man.
I ain't gonna hold you, nigga. We was in the cabin for Thanksgiving when we went to Tennessee a couple years ago. Me and Ivy. We had the two boys at the time, and we drove up to Tennessee to go meet my parents. They had got a cabin, my sisters and everything like that. And because we was in Tennessee, my family is in Alabama, so there's no gambling. And then in Florida at the time, we didn't have sports bet gambling. We can only do hard rock bet. So because we was in Tennessee, every phone and tablet downloaded DraftKings, FanDuel because we
Wow.
was watching. It was Thanksgiving, so we had college football, we had NFL, and
NFL,
we just
yeah.
gambled as a fucking family, bro. Yo,
Yo,
I
they got
saw
us, bro.
Ivana and my
We're
sister and my mother Google who is this and what is they stats. I said, that's how the fuck they get us. You don't even know what you're doing, nigga. Now it forced me and dad not to even watch the game. We got to be like, no, he averaged this. You should do this. Oh shit, he kind of like so we can't even pay attention because we gotta guide them niggas in gambling so they don't spend all their goddamn money over unders. They don't know what they talk about.
yeah, he's injured. He's not even playing today. Gambling, bringing the family together. You heard it here first, guys.
Hey, shout out Brendan. Go get your money, brother.
Oh man. All right, let's move on. Oh, you want to intro your topic?
Yeah, next topic is I'm just gonna go ahead and play the video and you'll get the drift of where my man Zach Galifianakis is going. And then we can kind of riff off of there.
I know that this in any way was just you doing your comedy, but you were so rude as that person. And it's hilarious because I don't think anyone's talked to, certainly a sitting president, or even in this time, no one's talked that way
Well, all
to
the
a president.
podcasters that have had the president on now, they don't do their court gesture. They don't do it. They suck up to him.
Yeah.
So the comedians
Yep.
that are podcasters that have had Trump on, they're not doing their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the job of a comedian. You are to challenge.
Yeah.
You are to make uncomfortable. You're not to sit there and fake laugh.
Yep.
That is not the job of the court jester.
Yeah.
Period. So there is a difference. Somebody yesterday was talking to me about that, about, political influence through comedy and all that stuff. I'm more interested in the comedy first.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah. No,
And whatever their motive is, fine. But the comedy has to come first. I remember when.
So I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there. Where do you come? I do hear a lot of talk about how Dave Chappelle is one of the greatest comedians and how he's probably the greatest, and he's this philosopher and everything like that. But the comedy to me comes first, right? And to me, as Zach is saying your job is to inform through comedy. And when you have the opportunity to do so and you don't, it then now cheapens the product, right? So then those who do are seen as like an outcast or when everybody should be doing so. And so what we're talking about here is how many people are intimidated by Trump as a comedian.
I think also we're in an era where there's so much benefit when it comes to access. There's so much monetary value when it comes to who you can get on your platform, who you could talk to, and then just being friends with people in office, getting invited to the White House, getting invited to these parties, and just being able to say, "Yeah, I was at this place with this person doing this thing, and it was so cool." These comedians, whether it's Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan, and then who have Trump on their podcast and don't use that opportunity to ask them the tough questions, it just comes off as them trying to suck up to the dictator or the king so that they're not on the bad side of things, that they're not, when things are going bad, they're safe in a sense. That's how it almost comes off to me.
Well, I do want to also kind of with that too, and I don't even want to even because the president too is kind of is what he just said, but even those who have governors, mayors, like if you have the availability
See, now you're
to
making
speak.
me feel like I gotta bring my clip up with the. I'll bring it back. Now I feel like I gotta bring it up with the my guy John Stewart. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No, I mean, but we're on the same wavelength as far as like the responsibility of again we talking about independent journalism now at this point. As a comedian, you should be operating as an independent journalist, and regardless with the access that you have, because how the fuck did you get the access in the first place? You were you were a comedian. Like you did not get into these rooms without being a version of yourself. And if the
I'll.
version of yourself go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
no, 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 no. I want you to finish that. Actually, you're saying it's been a facts.
Well, the reason why I'm saying is because with Zach's show, he had Barack on,
Hmm.
and that was regardless of the Fox News or the CNNs or MSNBCs or whatever the case may be. Um, Barack and Zach Galifianakis was one of the most um, highly entertaining, and I would say I won't necessarily say contentious or combative, but it made him uncomfortable if you go back and watch, that episode of the show. And so I do want to go back and just play a little bit more of Zach because he leads into another point that I want to talk
Before
about.
before we get to that though,
Go ahead.
when he talks about the role of the court jester, right? It's always been that they, through satire, make fun of the current state of affairs, and that's why comedians make jokes, but we do look at them as like these moral arbiters to cut through the noise and speak up for the disenfranchised or say the ugly truth out loud in a joking manner so people can be awakened a little bit. That's why I love Jay Chappelle. But lately he hasn't been doing that quite well. I do believe that, since George Carlin, there really hasn't been like a guy who I'm like, they do political commentary this well. Like he was a master at cutting through the noise and getting people on both sides to see the hypocrisy and the
Well, also he didn't
the
want to be liked. He knew his
yeah,
job.
yeah, he knew his job.
He
He knew
he
what he
did
knew.
he knew his job. He he was in our sports analogy, he was the coach who don't care how you hear the message is going to be said.
Yeah.
Right now, whether you receive the message and you internally have the the fortitude to kind of take that, internalize it, and make yourself better. Because at the end of the day, what is happening or what I'm saying is not nice in a way that can be said anyway. Like I'm saying it in the matter of fact way of where it is at and how it is happening. And my God, if you don't feel the way that I feel about it, that means it don't burn like it burns for me. And to your point, George Carlin was someone who was able to pierce through
No
the
matter what
racial
side of the aisle
boundaries.
you were on, or your racial
Yeah,
boundaries,
yeah.
he spoke truth to power, man. And there's nothing like him, man. He was a gem, and that's why he's one of my favorite comedians. Even though, like, I found out about him like real late. I watched him when I was younger, but I didn't really get what he was saying until I was a little bit older, and then he passed away. Um, I think I really became a fan after he passed, you know. So I just wish that the comedians of today were that brave because we need.
Well, the ones
And
that are not doing are not doing comedy anymore. You know, we talking about Seth Rogen, or we talking about a Zach Galifianakis. Like these guys are more important in the role that they're in currently, that they aren't the comedians anymore. Like like
there's
they
more
have
money
graduated.
in being a podcaster, a comedic actor, not going on stage and doing this stand up. I think you gotta truly love stand up nowadays to do it because right now there's so much money in not rocking the boat. Let's be real. There's so much money in not rocking the boat. You can watch the Joe Rogan podcast from 15 years ago or 10 years ago and watch Joe Rogan podcast today. And it's a stark difference in philosophy. The guy doesn't stand for anything. He stands for enriching himself now, and hey, that's his choice. He chose where he is as far as, when your morals are
Well,
challenged, where you
let's be
go. But
real though. We've empowered that though. He was a bro. He was an MMA trainer. He was what's the show, the Man Show, right? Like Joe Rogan.
was he
He
on that?
was nothing really special. I guess I'm just him and Adam Carolla, right? I believe it was Joe
No,
Rogan and
that
Adam
was not Joe
Carolla on the.
Rogan. That was
It was a
the guy who's actually
Joe.
super liberal. He's getting silenced right now, Jimmy Kimmel.
You right. I mixed them boys up.
Mhm.
I mixed them boys up. My bad.
He had
My
Fear
bad.
Factor, Joe Rogan. He had Fear Factor.
So Fear Factor.
Yeah,
Okay.
his
Again,
stand up. His stand up wasn't really that great, anyways. But
nothing,
yeah,
nothing good. Not, in the realm of man show, like nothing good. He had people eat cow testicles. You know what I mean? Like that was his claim to fame. He's an MMA trainer. He's a podcaster, and we made him into this fucking entrepreneur. Fucking, it's what we do
the
when.
cool thing about his podcast. I'm sorry. Finish what you're saying. It's what we do when we
Oh,
what?
go ahead. Go ahead. I was gonna say this is what we do when this is how he was the for me he's the test dummy of how you make a influencer relevant. Like he's the first.
Well,
He's the first
I
of the
gotta
influencer
give
that can influence and then change it.
I gotta give him props for the podcast that because he was doing this forever, like before people even knew what a podcast was. And he would have his boys on and would talk about things in the world and talk about and make jokes and all that stuff. His comedian buddies, right? At the time, he did seem anti-establishment and always pushed for, he's definitely pro weed, definitely trying to legalize marijuana, legalizing, psychedelics and getting more information on what DMT is and all that stuff. So the conversations he was having on his podcast were funny and informative and just kind of like you talking to your buddies because he would have people on who knew more about these topics than he did. And I think that's the appeal of the show is his guest who he can get. Getting Neil deGrasse Tyson to come on your show is pretty cool. If you don't know much about science, but you can then ask some questions about, was the moon landing fake, or do you believe in global warming, and get some real scientific, um, scientific, facts behind it, or studies behind it, and
I,
can
I used
tell
I
you
used to
the
think he was
history.
just like the conspiracy theorist guy. I thought his claim to fame was like
He's that
a,
too.
a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of bros followed him because he had a lot of bro conversations. You know how we
Yeah.
talk about barbershop conversations? He had a lot of bro conversations. And to your
Hmm.
point, he was famous enough through the Fear Factor being on syndicated television and had enough money enough with the production to where he put the podcast out and it had the connections. But to your point, like it was informative, but to, but when you was like anti-establishment, what was the establishment at that time? It was Barack Obama, right? It was it's
Hmm.
during his presidency, so
Barack
his
Obama,
anti-establishment
even
is
the first Trump, his term, he did push back, a lot more than he did now. 100%. He wasn't with a lot of what Trump was doing. He loved Bernie Sanders at one point. So he doesn't really have a real strong political identity until recently, where he's super MAGA, and he will have on the entire Epstein class on his podcast and act like nothing's happening. And a little every now and then he'll be like, "Oh man, what are we doing in this war?" Right? And that's it. That's the extent you'll get of pushback from this guy, because he's selling supplements. He has his connections with people in the administration. He's trying to push for a psychedelic bill. So there's no way that he's gonna be able to. He's trying to say anything. Much and also, there's once you get that high, access is more valuable than money itself.
but this is what I'm
Look at
trying to
Elon
say.
Musk.
Comedians have never been this,
This rich,
right?
this
That's what I'm trying to say.
this
But
connected
even
to
but that's what I'm saying
you
because
know you
comedians
yeah.
don't mind being rich. What I'm saying is comedians never had the access and the air and to
I
bro.
think
We
rich
talking
is
about
a
the
problem too. I think that you tell more truths when you're not making that much money, because you have no like, there's like, if we make a ton of money, on Twitch, is it how much harder is it to talk against your employer, Amazon?
well.
That I think that they deal with that a lot more today than the past. Put it that way. So, but you're right.
Well,
Access
I would
is
say
key.
this: Eddie Murphy was pretty famous, right? I would say his commentary was never Richard Pryor. I would use more Richard because Richard Pryor was his stand up was more kind of delving into kind of uh, in the times, political or social commentary, if you will. As famous as Richard was and the access that Richard had, or whatever the case would be, as much money as Richard made, I, I've never kind of then heard that be compromised because the access of which he gained to. I'm still gonna talk about Michael. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm and Michael gonna call me on the phone. I'm still gonna talk about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby told me to shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like the access that I have does not change
Compromised
who.
by all.
How about my? So
Yeah.
back to the Dave Chappelle thing to kind of put this in a loop. He had the interview, and they asked him what changed with you going over to Israel, and he was like, nothing's changed really, honestly. Like because we still operate in this capitalistic society. So my moral stance changed. And I don't think that he needs, for me, to atone really for that. But I do need for him to understand that that is tone deaf, right? Because why he said I'm still going to spend the money of of slave owners on my paper and come home and deal with racists in America and stuff like
That
that.
is
So
a cop out.
exactly. So, but
And I
that's my
love Dave
point.
Chappelle. He's like my favorite
But,
comedian, bro.
but
But
that's but
that's a
that's
cop
but
out.
that's my point. Even the great philosopher Dave Chappelle, Truth to Power, is now compromised
At
because
one
he's like,
point,
yeah,
you
man, I'll take a
were
check.
not gonna get the check. Like, at one point, you left the check because you thought you were being compromised. You know?
You left 50 million on the table only to then go ahead and perform for Saudi. I think you do have to just continue. You got to ride that wave. You got to to be who you are and maintain what it is that. But
That's why people
also, you got
trust
to
him, because you walked away.
But see, but that's why here we are in a place where we don't have nobody we really can trust. I know we talk about John Stewart, right? I know we feel like we can trust John Stewart, but my only thing about John Stewart is that um my only thing with John Stewart is that has he alienated has he alienated a constituents that is going to be needed to rally around, even if he's not running, but wherever he's
Mhm.
trying to push it. You know what
Well,
I'm saying? Because he also is in there.
let me share my John Stewart video. Then we'll get back to your Zach Galifianakis video, and we'll wrap this up.
Go
Okay?
ahead.
With but because
Go
it
ahead.
all comes together. But this is who John Stewart is. He's a guy who he constantly has been fighting for the right side of history, and I think when you're fighting for the right things, um, even people on the other side of the aisle, I think, can have respect for what he does.
And they haven't met a veteran they won't screw over. What the are we? Let me say something beautiful. This is a tweet from Senator Rick Scott of Florida from yesterday. It's beautiful. And I'm sorry about the cursing, and let me say something beautiful to make it up to you. I was honored to join the USO today and make care packages for our brave military members in gratitude of their sacrifice and service to our nation. And there's a beautiful picture. I wish you could see it. He's standing with a little package. Did you get the package? I think it has M&Ms in it and some cookies and some moist towelettes. I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I've been coming down here 10, 15 years. I'm used to the hypocrisy. Christina King will tell you from VFW. She sat in an office with Mitch McConnell and a war veteran from Kentucky, and he looked that man in the eyes and he said, we'll get it done. And he lied to him. They vote for it year after year after year. You don't support the troops, you support the war machine. And he's pretending that this.
Get back to that in a second. That's just one clip of him, fighting for the troops. And I think even the right wing could kind of support that, because even the right wing has tons of Army veterans who come back and have been let down by what they were promised. And I think that he already helped people who suffered from 9/11 and got them paid. The firefighters and officers who suffered from conditions from that, and the families who lost people as well, who never got reimbursed or helped with their conditions after they got
Yeah,
cancer,
they never
and
got
lung
compensated in any way.
disease and all that stuff, and he actually helped get that through. Now he's focusing on the veterans and what the concentration of you know of certain bills that they're trying to get passed that they're denying. These are bills to help the VA to support these veterans. Um, that right there wasn't comedy. That is a man talking truth to power. Yes, he's a comedian, but bro, he cares, and he's not afraid of pushing back in a real way. I gotta respect that, and I think that I get the apprehension. Can he, whether it's running or supporting a candidate, be a guy who garners support from both sides of the aisle? It is gonna be a test for him because he's been seen as a left wing liberal forever, but he also has a charismatic way of telling his message, as you can see.
And I think I support that. I support that effort and that message. And I also we talk about all the time because we haven't really had our real deal political talk on air, which I don't think we'll get to right now because it's not really that contentious. But I think that is kind of what some of the talking heads were saying. Even yesterday we were talking about Killer Mike and Kamala about policy. can you reach across the aisle and not be so tunnel vision, like you say, getting a black vote or getting Latino vote or shit? Like, bro, you gotta say something that connect with the people, not just one set of people, not just a subset of people, not the LB, like not a 1% of the people. You know, like, can you say something, do something, be impactful, be important, that is going to be, like you say, I'm a human first. I'm not a man. I'm not a black man. I'm not an African. I am a human, right? And so I think, with this video of Jon Stewart, so much is said, and um, propaganda, a lot of propaganda has been spewed on the help and the assistance that a military veteran receives. And what I can tell you is that there are some good and bad to it. For one, if you are able to get out and get your honorary, discharge, and apply for your benefits, you do have your GI Bill. You can go ahead and get you a degree. You can go ahead and get you a house. I'm doing that right now. Got my degree, got my house, all with VA assistance. But when you're slashing VA workers, when you're closing down VA facilities, when we don't have enough space, when it takes you don't so if you're firing employees, then you don't have nobody to process the claims. And so,
Slows
you
everything
got
down to a status quo, and people are waiting months or days or weeks, depending on how long it is.
no, we talking about years, bro. We are talking. I work for a nonprofit, and I'll give them pub because they was good to me and it was good for me during the time that I was there. Don't know what's going on right now, but the Veterans One Stop of Western New York up there in Buffalo. Um, I was a homeless vet. You know what I'm saying? And with the policies and the people in power in place that allowed the grants to be given out during the time, uh, Roger was able to open up a facility that was able to facilitate, and he had help from around the city of people who was willing, again, probably get their tax cuts or whatever the case may be, but was willing to help the community. And that building helped a lot of people. It helped a lot of people get jobs. It helped a lot of people with rental assistance. And so, with that being said, veterans need that. Yeah, veterans need advocates. That is actually what the social, or not even that. That's what the people who were working. They were called advocates. When I'm coming to go see Cindy, Cindy's my advocate. When I'm coming to see Matt, there's my advocate, and that specific
Yeah.
person has a file, and they're working with you and say, "Hey, just follow up on your job. Hey, did you get everything we need for this checklist for the rental assistance? Okay, I'm gonna supply for the grant. If you get it, we pay for first month and last month. But you gotta, like it's that we need advocacy." And with the
Yeah.
goodwill is job placement, where you can find a job, put people there. Got the Buffalo Bills giving out free tickets, so we would do a raffle, and send people out to the games, and they'll get fucking sit in the suite and watch Bills. It's something to give. But when you have people that are who disregard that, the importance of that, and the funding dries up, and the facilities dries up, and the people are not incentivized to help now, and then they don't help. Now you get a circumstance, and Michael Beasley again said, I must say it again for Michael Beasley on
Nah,
Club
it's a
Shay
great,
Shay.
it's a great quote.
We judge people for the decisions that they make without knowing that the choices that they have. And a lot of our homeless veterans, our unhoused people, because that's what we're saying right now, You know, bro, they're giving out tickets to people now in certain cities in certain states. They're making laws for people who are homeless, and if you're sleeping outside, like this is it's tough because again, it's not just veterans now. We got real people now that are rather that will rather live in their car or have no choice but to live in their car because even though they have a job and they go to work, they can't afford or present the three times rent to get into an apartment. Or they don't have the credit score to get their home loan when there's grants and stuff like that for you to like and you do need someone with power, with a voice, who have
Yeah.
power to sway things and say things and be able to be like, hey, do you hear me? Like I forget everything in the past. Like right now, do you see what's going on right now?
Yeah.
Is there something that we can do to change something that's like right now? Okay, because this is real. Um, how you say that does matter. Who's saying that does matter, right? In a video that we talked about, you know, white male voters will probably tend to listen to another white male. So if James Tallarico can have this same message and reach across the aisle to other white, you know,
Yeah.
like
And there's something to
white
be
males, like
said.
I mean, that might help. That might work.
Yep, absolutely. It's we trust people that we feel like we know or we're familiar with. And there's something to be said about celebrity. Let's be real. That's why Trump is in the office, and that's why I do like seeing somebody who's like you talked about the lady yesterday at the you know the at the billionaire ball. For
Yes,
you know,
yes,
yeah, the
yes.
woman from I forget her
Um,
name, but
from
from Abbott
Abbott
Elementary, and we
Yep.
need people with some face value, face card value to do these things and to talk truth to power because people listen more. It's just the nature. They trust the face they've seen before. I'm gonna end with this extra clip from John Stewart, but I also want to show what else he's saying.
To
And it's
200.
Lisa
They're
Ann Walter.
Lisa
Lisa
Ann
Ann
Walter. Okay.
Walter. Lisa
All
Ann
right.
Walter. Yep.
But yeah, if we have a guy like John Stewart, who's also a comedian, who's getting out there using his voice, I think there's a lot of value in this. Let me go back a little bit.
live to 200. They're tortoises. They live forever and they never lose their jobs and they never lose their benefits and they never lose all those things. Well, they're not on Senate time, they're on human time, cancer time.
This bill does a lot more than just give us health care.
Gives them health care, gives them benefits, lets them live.
Keeps veterans from going homeless, keeps veterans from becoming addicts, keeps veterans from committing suicide.
Senator Toomey's not going to hear that because he won't sit down with this man.
And John, I want to thank you again. I wanted to come up and hang out in the Capitol steps.
That's all we need to see. Shout out to Joe Biden, but he's just giving thanks to John Stewart. And there's also a video of him sitting down with a guy in Arizona and telling him to his face about the election not being stolen in Arizona. Like so, so there's that's when I talk about people who are sitting down with politicians, that's what made me think about this video with John Stewart. But I think what's more important is what he's doing for the vets right now. Yeah, man, more power to him. And in this serious times, I think John Stewart, what he does on the Daily Show, combined with what he does behind the scenes, is the closest thing I've seen to George Carlin. It's not the same, but it's the closest thing I've seen somebody who's in a high position who honestly is not trying to cause division, but just trying to speak about the truth and what's proper for helping people and in this world and seeing through the veil of this person, that person, the rich, the poor, the black, white, whatever it may be, right, left. I think he sees through it in a very sound way. So if he does support a candidate, or if he happens to run for something himself, I think I would support him.
Yeah, I think he has the right amount of he's first things first, right gender, right complexion. Let's just check those two boxes out the way. And I think at the end of the day, he has the right fervor. He has the right message. He has the right tonality. Right? You know how I just said if we can take somebody with Bernie Sanders and put that in somebody that's just a little bit more energetic. I don't think we need an AOC, unfortunately, because I think that is a little bit the divisive of how it'll be
I like me
presented.
some AUC, but I will say this: she's young. She's younger than typically. She's not that young, but typical people who are old. But I don't know if that's a problem in today's day and age. We might need that, but and I'll talk about her another day because I do think she, when it comes to the Voting Rights Act, she's called for specific cities to like also like, hey man, they're playing dirty, let's play dirty too, and the Democrats not just taking everything lying down and being the party of decorum all the time. That's fine, you guys. So you guys set the rules. Let's play by the rules, that the same rules. We're not playing, you know. So
Bro,
I respect that.
I've been waiting for somebody to do that, bro. I've been waiting for somebody to Cody poke somebody in the eye.
Yeah, but you're right.
Bro.
Jon Stewart does have a lot going for him that could work. You never know, man. People like celebrity, bro, and he's a way better celebrity than Donald Trump. I'll say, you know.
Bro, but
You
if
know,
he can get behind somebody, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how Mondani can propel himself from mayor to presidential candidate, but we've seen crazier shit happen
unfortunately, he
before.
wasn't born in the United States, so he can never be president. But
Nigga,
I wish.
unfortunately, a person with a felony couldn't be president either. So I don't want to hear it, man. We can figure something out.
Facts, bro.
What was Obama's birth certificate? Ain't that what they was talking about? Nigga, we didn't bypass that.
Yeah, but he was born here too. He was born in Chicago. He just spent a lot of time with his daddy.
That's what they say.
Yeah, man. Let's go back to your Zach Galifianakis clip. Let's hear more
shit,
what he's
damn.
talking about when it comes to
I
you know,
bet.
when it comes to
Bet.
comedians. Yeah.
I think we're gonna get into some a little bit more deeper than this too. You know, see where the world's going.
I interviewed Hillary Clinton, and I could tell she didn't want to be there, and I totally get that. I get it. But before we had set that whole thing up, they wrote back, "Well, you can't bring up those emails." And I go, "Well, we don't have to do the interview. That's fine. We won't do it."
Yeah.
When you tell powerful people no, it's crazy. They were like, "Okay, we'll do it. Well, you can ask."
Yeah.
Because it's not that important to me
Yep.
to do it the way they want to do it. You have to, if you're going to come in a comedy, you got to do the way we want to do it.
Also, I see this all the time, and I've seen it for years and years and years and years. People not understanding that if they go to the supposedly vulnerable place and have a sense of humor about it, it is magical for them. People see they have a sense of humor. They see that they can take a joke. I mean, no one walked away from your interview with Obama and thought, wow, you really showed him. He got to be hilarious. He sat there and entered your world of, being intentionally ignorant about who he is, what he does, cutting him off, being insanely rude, and gave it back to you in equal measure. And you looked at it and you thought, this is a great piece of comedy. And I know it reflects well back on the president. And our current president would do well to understand that, if he let himself be the butt of the joke,
It's impossible.
It's humanizing. I know.
And I right there, the cutoff of it's impossible because he worked so hard to be this serious. You know what I'm saying? Like Donald Trump has been the butt of the joke. He was the butt of the joke. He currently still is the butt of the joke. Like the fact that he's the president. The fact that he's the president is a fucking joke. So to open yourself up to be like, yeah, I'm willingly going to, like, no, I manipulated so much. I've done so much. I've done so much despicable, maniacal things to gain this power and this control and this seriousness. Like, so when we have the conversation yesterday about voting out of fear, like, yes, nigga, fear this fucking joke, bitch. Fear it. That's why it was so important to that. But that goes back to the comedy thing.
That's
like
why he hates
people,
Jimmy Kimmel so much. That's why he wants to get him off the air so bad. That's why he watches
not
it
even,
sent out. He watches it
or
to
not
see
e-
if they make jokes about him. Go ahead.
but not it, but not e- not no no not even so much that though. Like, just take it back to the why was comedians so dangerous? Right? Comedians are so dangerous because you fear the joke. You see what I'm saying? Like, you fear that you fear the joke. So now he's turned into what he feared the most.
Exactly.
And you guys now fear the joke of him. And so yes, he watches Jimmy Kimmel, to your point. He watches SNL, to your point. He does get burnt when he sees that, but he also knows that it's not no more out of jokes. These niggas are now talking about me out of fear. And
You know what's
that
funny?
is why that's the difference.
There is a difference in that, but the jokes can pierce the armor of a dictator, a king, or whatever it may be, and make them seem touchable. You know, that's why comedy is so. I think comedy. I think comedy is one of the most brilliant professions because it really is a bit of magic for a person to look at the world or look at a person. Like, we've seen people do crowd work, right? They can look at somebody in the front row and point out a truth about that person in an instant and make it, relatable to a whole room of people and have people gutting laughing because they feel that truth. And that's what makes comedy so damn dangerous. That's what makes it so um, miraculous in a sense too, because everybody joins in and sees the truth in that one moment, and the uncomfortableness of a joke sometimes, and finding a way to navigate the uncomfortableness to a truth to enlighten and make people laugh is how you can really open minds. A lot of people say, "Oh, you expect a comedian to talk about politics. You picked a comedian. Why do you listen to comedians about what they think about this or that?" And to be quite honest, they're some of the most truthful people to exist. And they sometimes have some of the darkest stories that they can we can laugh at their pain and they can help laugh at the world's pain and make us feel better about the terrible conditions that we go through in life. So I genuinely, what Zach was saying is so freaking poignant that, it is dangerous but you don't have to, but here's the thing, like, it's dangerous because we fear that person in power. But if you flip it on them and you don't act like you need their approval to make your jokes, you become the one who's dangerous. You become the one who holds the sword that pierces the armor of the image or whatever they're trying to portray themselves to be.
But I think we also got to talk about, does this matter? Like, to your point, yes, to any sane person, to anybody who cares about this in any type of like rational way, bro, he's linked to being a pedophile. You see what I'm saying? Like we, I know I'm bringing him up, Drake. Bro, that I'm bringing. But what I'm saying is that word is not that chinks armors, bro. Especially with any type of sniffing of internet fucking proof from a TikTok or a tweet or videos of him bringing girls on stage and any type of shit that we hold as something that's an indictment with that word to give it any type of credence, that's a chink in armor. this motherfucker became president after it. Like, so we're talking about a really different big bad here. Like, we're
But
talking
that's
about a
why I
big
think we
bad that
need the people to poke fun at him. I think we need that. Not that's the only, weapon that we got. We can also throw, these, triple what's it, catapult. But whatever it is that you have in your arsenal, like, it might be him getting on, these press conferences and just talking like Jon Stewart. But, I do believe that comedy has a special place in this. But you're right. Does it matter? I do think it does, but there has to be more to it. Absolutely.
no,
And
absolutely
right
yes,
now we're
I
living in
do.
a weird time to me because I think the country being so goddamn split and they're we see the people that like, man, it's just crazy. We've been living amongst the Confederacy this entire time thinking that they were defeated. And they were, but they've been mad about that shit ever since the 1900s, bro. Early
But I
1900s.
mean, but this
So
goes back
when
to
it
like,
comes, but I'm just going to make my point real quick. So when it comes to this whole Trump regime and Trump thing, this is a backlash of the Confederacy, and it's a brainwashing of that mindset that a white man, no matter how bad he is or defunct, should be in power above a Kamala Harris or Obama. And the only reason why we had Joe Biden was because some people were okay with that. You know, let's be real. It's hard to. You have something to say? Go ahead.
no, you were saying that I'm sorry, I was trying to get in when you were saying about the backlash of the Confederacy, and it never, and like you, it never went away. But
Hmm.
that it in that but if seeing this validates everything that we would talk about. Like you talking about the 1900s, or the 1900s, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, everything that has quote unquote put the foot on the things that they say black people have to get over, right? That the result of the Civil War was everything that was the result to us, right? Black Wall Street being burned down, or Social City riots, everything like that. Like that is
Yeah,
the
it's never went away
so.
for sure.
It,
Yeah,
it ne- so but to your point now, the overtness,
hmm
like the overtness that you was just getting
we
to
let
in your bag.
them. We. There was never a reconciliation plan for
Nope,
condemning the mindset
nope.
of these people, and we just let it rock. We just said, "Oh, this is about property rights," or no, like the property are human beings, like for real, like, and they always saw us as less. So that has always persisted with them, their children, and next generations, and here we are, where it's all muddled, and people who
Well,
vote for Trump genuinely will make up a reason that it's nothing to do. They think has nothing to do with racism, but it all stems back. It trails back to this Confederacy racism of thinking that they are better and own people who are like that are different than them.
well, I think that leads us in tomorrow's show when we get into tomorrow's topic of how that then now formulates in the elite mindset. We just talked about the connectivity and the relationship that's built between people, and we're talking about the commodity that is human people that works for the Amazons or the Walmarts and stuff like that. But now they're about to get rid of us.
Mhm.
Now the commodity is no longer needed. So we're not even talking about the racial aspect of it. We're now back to the human aspect of it.
Yeah,
They don't need humans anymore because they have built a relationship with a person who can swipe a pen and throw into laws that they can do things like not pay, and then build robots who can then take over the jobs and not have like it like. So to your point of there was no reconciliation, yes, we just they were able to mask themselves and then become presidents, owners of insurance companies that then pass down for generations and generations. They are able to then build prisons or be police chiefs or like that. reconciliation never happened because they were all amongst themselves doing it. Back to the point of how Trump gets to not have to release Epstein files because when he running as a president saying we're going to release them, we're going to release them, bro, that is a master manipulator. That is a I'm telling you, that's a big bad that knows the chink in the armor. The chink in the armor is, I know I'm in them motherfucking files. I'm going to tell him I'm going to release them. Then I'm going to get in office. I'm going to stall out fucking Congress. I'm going to stall out here. I'm going to make sure that I can. And I'm going to sign the bill. I'm going to get everything redacted. And I'm going to release names of people that I want to release names to. And my name is reportedly, what, 83,000? Is it 83,000 times or 38,000 times? One is like one of them numbers, or I'm not mistaken.
And that's
that
just the documents that we have. So it's absurd, bro. And we can laugh about it, but when I think about the Epstein file situation, I get really sick, bro. It really does mess me up that we know that there are pedophiles in this country and we're not doing anything about it. There are pedophiles that could be in.
It's not even pedophiles in this country. Pedophiles running the country.
But I'm saying that as a basis.
Yeah.
But
yes.
then on a layer on top of that, there are pedophiles potentially running this country in office that we're gonna protect them, no matter what. It really does put in our face the classism that exists in this country, and people have to wake the fuck up. People have.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't.
Standards. Huh? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying, unfortunately, I can't say what should be done to people like that because, the where we're at and the streams, but it's so the realm of what money can buy you, right? What status can buy you, what access can buy you, bro. It can buy you a get out of jail free card, like a legitimate get out of jail free card for being one of the most, or doing some of the most, or having the most despicable allegations on your jacket.
The fact that this is so riled up the public and we're so disgusted by the things we're hearing and about the Epstein files, and they're moving about their day to day as if nothing happens, makes me even more sick. It makes it even more scary to me that this is something that's normal for these people. And that's the scary part, that it's always been going on, and that this being brought to the light is almost like now you guys know, so what,
But that's why we voted out of fear, cheating. I know we arguing. I don't want to go back and forth with that or but that's why we voted out of fear, though.
No, I get it 100%. I get why people voted out of fear. I get it. Like, if I had, to choose the lesser of two evils, and I lived somewhere that's not New York, where it was a must, because that comes into account. Let's be real, like where you vote. Like, go to my conversation we had yesterday. I'm like, where does this nigga live? Like, for real, like, does his vote really matter? Let's be real, and just so we want to know, did he vote for Kamala? Okay, doesn't really fucking matter if he did. And is he to blame either way? If he did it or he didn't, even if he voted for Trump, did it fucking matter? If it's Georgia, probably not.
Well, why would you say that? Because I live in Florida, so that kind of
did Georgia go to Trump? I don't know. I don't want to misinform, because I thought it was a Kamala state, but I could be wrong. So you're right. Maybe it doesn't matter. But
hold on, let me see. Before we get out of here, was Georgia?
So, but yeah, I think that the country has to wake the fuck up, because at some point we have to have standards for the people we put in office. As a people, we set the standards. As a collective, we have to set the standards as a collective, and it's not on some build a wall type shit. It's about, hey, these people
we
put in office,
It was
should not be criminals. Huh?
Closer. Yeah, she lost. She lost Georgia.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, she lost.
Maybe he is to
Georgia.
blame. Fuck. Shit. Shit. With that being said, are we out of here? All's love. Everything is everything, man. Keep love first in your mind, peoples. And we'll be back tomorrow for more Everything Is podcast.
Absolutely, man. Peace.
Peace out, dog.